Kung Fu Kenny. Y'all know what happens on Earth stays on Earth. Here we go. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy CoolStoryBrobat with another 2017 UU Open Round 1 replay match. This is a very good game between two very good players, but of course, by this point, I think every one of these replays is between two very good players, so that's to be expected here, of course. Both of these teams look incredibly offensive, very strong, but at the same time, very evenly matched. What Lavos has here, it looks like he's packing Azov Hyper Offense. Of course, that could also be Life Orb Stealth Rock Azov, something you don't see too much of these days, but I feel like the order of business here is standard Focus Sash Rock's lead Azov. He's packing that. He has an interesting pick in Haunch Crow, which could be like Z mirror move. Very crazy set, gets the +2 attack boost, uses a Z move based on the enemy's last move, and it's a big threat. I'm going to try to keep this team analysis short because this game likewise is very short in of itself. r0ady here, on the other hand, has the Crawdon. He has the Mega Beedrill. Both of these guys got Conkeldurr. I like that r0ady has a Doublade. It's a very interesting counter to Latias, and it's a very interesting solid check to Caesar. But really, these teams are offensively evenly matched to the point that I really think that the winner of this battle is going to come down to whoever makes the first mistake. Whoever makes the first mistake in this match is going to be playing from behind, and he's likely going to be the one who loses here. So with no further ado, let's get on with the game. So turn 1, r0ady is going to lead Crawdon, Lavos is going to lead his Caesar, and Kirkpatrick! That Crawdon knocks that Caesar in 2018 with the Z Crab Hammer, knocks that thing straight out. Lavos is going to go to his Conkeldurr to revenge kill, r0ady is going to go to his Swampert, takes a Thunder Punch. The fact he's using Thunder Punch reveals he might be either Sheer Force, Life Orb, or Choice Band Conkeldurr. But this Swampert gets rocks up as Lavos goes into his Azov, r0ady goes back to his Crawdon. The Azov uses Explosion, revealing he is indeed most likely the Sash lead Azov variant. So Swampert comes back in, Conkeldurr comes back in. We're going to settle the score here on what this set is. So Conkeldurr goes for Drain Punch. He reveals this is indeed Life Orb Sheer Force Conkeldurr. But r0ady busts a technique straight out of his sleeve. Counter Swampert. Crazy set. It leaves the Conkeldurr with a resounding 7% of its health left after that matchup. So Latias is going to come in to try to threaten the Swampert. Doublade is going to come in, eat the Draco Meteor like a tasty sandwich, and he's going to obviously not want to keep that Latias in, so Lavos is going to have to sack his Conkeldurr. Very unfortunate. 3 big threats lost on Lavos' side already, and it's only turn 9. Crazy. So Sharpedo comes in. r0ady has to go to his Beedrill here. He sacks Beedrill to the crunch. I really think he was just sacking it because he didn't need Beedrill too much. So Conkeldurr comes in, obviously a threat to the Sharpedo, obviously he doesn't want to stand. Now r0ady could have made a crazy prediction here and gone for knockoff on this, but he decides to just go for Mach Punch, play it safe in case he tried to stand and go for Psychic Fangs or something. Swampert's going to come in here, and he's going to sacrifice Swampert to the devastating Drake. Z Draco Meteor blows that Swampert back. r0ady brings Doublade in here. He's thankful that he didn't send Doublade into the devastating Drake because that would have killed it easily. So Lavos is going to make Latias recover, and he's going to switch out to his Haunch Crow here. Doublade is going to Shadow Sneak once again. He's going to take the Sucker Punch to the face, and he's going to be able to drop an Iron Hit on this Haunch Crow, finishing it off. It's looking pretty good for Lavos for r0ady right now, I'm sorry. Looking kind of rough for Lavos, but this is still a game that can run straight down to the wire. He kills off the Doublade with Sharpedo, gets a speed boost from, speed boost. He goes to his Conkeldurr. The Sharpedo is going to protect. He's going to try to get in r0ady's head as to whether he's going to stay in or whether he's going to switch out or not. And it's really going to come down to what he does here. However, r0ady stays with it. He stays with the safe plays. He Mach Punches the Sharpedo with his Conkeldurr. Lavos has to go to his Latias. r0ady has not revealed his Latias, so by the looks of it, this game is going to come down to either a speed tie or Latias being Choice Scarf. I want to say it's safe to assume that this Latias is Choice Scarf, drops a Draco Meteor on it, and kills it. The reason why I want to say that it looks like this might be a Scarf Latias is because just based on his team, he's using a defensive Swampert, so it's not Mega, obviously, because he also has a Beedrill. Mega Beedrill is fast, but nothing else on his team really outspeeds Mega Aerodactyl. Doublade doesn't want to keep coming in on Earthquakes from it. I feel like that's obviously got to be a Scarf Latias. You know, especially when you consider the fact that a +1 circuitry would be very annoying for r0ady's team if that Latios was not Scarf. So that's why I think it's safe to assume that. However, a crucial thing to note is that turn 1, the Crawdaunt versus the Caesar matchup, that was apparently a max speed adamant Caesar versus a jolly max speed Crawdaunt. And Crawdaunt had won the speed tie. They both had the same speed. I think it's what, 229? I cannot remember at the moment. But it was a speed tie. Crawdaunt won the speed tie, and he knocked the Caesar out. And that set the tone of the game pretty much, because without Caesar, and you know, it could have had knockoff, it could have had something that would have been able to threaten Doublade, and it obviously would have been a big threat to Beedrill and even Conqueror. But that's game 1. Let's go to game 2 and see how this pans out. Alright, so game 2 here, I have a little bit more time to now analyze his teams. So r0ady decides he's going to stick to his guns. He's going to use the same team he had brought game 1. I guess he figures if he has any tricks to pull out of his sleeve, he'll save him for game 3, if there needs to be a game 3. Lavos, on the other hand, is using the same team that Haysup had used in his match against Highways for game 2. The Mega Beedrill, the defensive Stealth Rock Swampert, the Life Orb Weavile, the Nasty Plot Ghost TMZ Confagrigus, the Life Orb Thunder Latios, which is good because this team really hates Empoleon, especially if it has Grass Knot, and the, was it Choice Specs or Choice Scarf? I think it was Specs Togekiss. However, make no mistake, I had to look at the video just to make sure, but it looks like Lavos may have made some changes to this team. I mean, aside from Weavile and Latios being shiny, the team order has been switched around a little bit, maybe to make it look like it's not the same exact team, I don't know. Lavos could have made some changes to this team, however. Like, for instance, the team really looks like it hates like Z Hypnosis circuitry, so he might have made Latios Choice Scarf or something. Just an example, he might have made Latios like Choice Scarf with Defog, and then put Aura Sphere on Togekiss so that he could still find some way to deal with Empoleon. That's just one example, for instance. Doesn't necessarily mean that he even made any changes, but it would be very interesting to see what he has come up with here. Now, as far as threats go, the biggest threat to r0ady's team is that Confagrigus. That Confagrigus, you let that Confag get a +2 up, and you let it set up Trick Room, and it's pretty much going to be curtains. Nothing wants to take a +2 Shadow Ball or a never-ending nightmare from that Confagrigus once it gets set up and once it gets in. And not to mention, it finds some decent setup opportunities against a Latios after it has blown a Draco Meteor, assuming that's Scarf. It finds setup opportunities against Mega Beedrill if it chooses to go for Poison Jab or any move that isn't U-turn, basically. And it could even set up against Conqueror. You know, it might have to take a knockoff to the face, but once it does, it's pretty much in there, so he has to be very careful with that. On the other hand, r0ady has the Crawdaunt. Z Crab Hammer looks very dangerous to Lavos' team. Nothing wants to take it. His only water resist is Latios, which does not want to take a knockoff. So how these two are going to play around each other's Z moves are going to be very interesting. r0ady's going to lead with Swampert here. Lavos is going to lead with the Mega Beedrill. Swampert's going to go for Rocks. Mega Beedrill goes for U-turn. It goes into Confagrigus. Now, Lavos remembers that counter Swampert from game 1. He didn't want Swampert to counter his U-turn switching, so he goes to Confagrigus, which is immune. Confagrigus goes for Shadow Ball, which does over a third to this Crawdaunt. Very strong attacker. However, he sends in Swampert on the Crawdaunt as it goes for the Hydro Vortex. Z Crab Hammer beats that Swampert down, knocks it out. And now it's not looking good for Lavos because Doublade is now looking a lot scarier without Swampert to take hits from it. He's gonna let this Crawdaunt die to the Latios Thunderbolt. He changed Thunder to Thunderbolt, I guess for reliability purposes. r0ady's gonna revenge kill with Beedrill, send it in on the Latios. He's gonna go for a U-turn as Lavos goes to his Togekiss, predicting the U-turn. Thankfully, he didn't Poison Jab, obviously. He's gonna go to his Doublade, switch out, double back into Swampert, trying to scout if he had like Fire Blast or something. But he catches a trick with the Swampert. Very unfortunate. Now, Lavos is gonna Air Slash this Choice Scarf Swampert and just flinch it. He's gonna make an aggressive play here. He knows Swampert's probably going for Scald, expecting to die to an Air Slash, but he's actually gonna go to his Latios here, and he's actually going to defog away the hazards that Swampert set up earlier. And because Swampert's crippled, it most likely isn't gonna be safe to lock in a Stealth Rock with this thing. So Lavos is going to double switch back to his Togekiss on the Swampert, kill it with an Air Slash, and effectively keep hazards off the map battle for the arrested. Heads was off the field for the rest of the battle. I'm losing my mind. Okay, so r0ady sends in his B-drill to revenge kill the Togekiss. Lavos sends in his own B-drill. r0ady sets up a layer of toxic spikes. Very interesting. He goes for the poison jab, predicting Togekiss to come in this time. Catches it, knocks it out. Lavos sends in his own B-drill once again, just to absorb the toxic spikes. He's gonna go for U-turn. However, r0ady wins the speed tie, gets that layer of toxic spikes back off again. He's going to his Doublade. It takes the Life Orb hidden power fire from Latios very easily. So Thunderbolt, HP fire, Life Orb defog. Life Orb defog Latios. Take notes, people. The Doublade is a +2 now. He is not gonna stay in on this Weavile, so r0ady is gonna sacrifice Latios to this Weavile. It was indeed Choice Scarf to clear up any confusion, obviously. However, the Weavile is poisoned. He's going to let Conqueror come in and kill this thing with Mach Punch. And now, B-drill comes back in once again. Poison jabs his Conqueror. Does a nice amount of help, nice amount of damage to it. r0ady goes for knockoff in case he tried to go to Confagrigus. However, Lavos stays in. He takes the knockoff and the Mach Punch to the face, and that's going to kill off the B-drill. Lavos busts out the Confagrigus late game. Conqueror loses its Guts ability. It gets turned into Mummy. That's essentially going to be a free turn of setup for this Confagrigus. He's going to kill the Conqueror off with Shadow Ball. He's going to send in Doublade. Doublade obviously isn't going to have enough juice to beat this Confagrigus one-on-one, unfortunately. Lavos is going to go for the Z Shadow Ball, never-ending nightmare. Doublade goes down. That's pretty much game. So, you know, kind of like I said, Confagrigus was the big threat. He just had to execute a late game. It was executed very properly, and he brought it out and managed to get a little sweep off of it in the end there. So, good game on both sides. You know, there was a lot of great plays going around, a lot of predictions, a lot of pressure, a lot of momentum. But the series is now going to go to Game 3. So it's going to come down to who's going to be the winner and who's going to go into round 2. Is it going to be r0ady or is it going to be Lavos? What other tricks does r0ady have up his sleeve? What team is Lavos going to use now? Does he have any other teams? Stay tuned to find out. So Game 3. r0ady decides to switch his team up. This time he's coming through with a team built around a nice looking core of Gliscor and Primarina. Looks like it's Swords Dance, Gliscor, and Choice Specs Primarina. They have a pretty good synergy both offensively and defensively. I'm a personal fan of that core. So obviously, you know, I'm liking this team. I feel like I've seen it before what r0ady's using, but I'm not totally sure. Lavos, on the other hand, well, we're just gonna say these teams get passed around in these streets like promiscuous women, because Lavos here is using a team made by the infamous player Cookies. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Cookies, but the guy has gotten pretty high on ladder, and I've seen this team a lot during the Conqueror Suspect test that had taken place over a week ago. And in a nutshell, if my memory serves me correct, I said correct, what's wrong with me? If my memory serves me right, this is like Mega Swampert with Stealth Rock, Belly Drum Chestnut with Slackberry. You gotta watch out for that. Scarf Infernape? I could be wrong. Choice Band Caesar? I could also be wrong about that. Defensive Blissey. And I think that's Vincoon. It might... I'm pretty sure that's a Vincoon. I'm just not 100% on the Caesar and Infernape sets. But as far as threats go, Latios, I think, is the scariest thing in r0ady's team because you do not know what it's packing. You don't know what it's packing. I mean, he has a Conqueror, he has an Infernape, he has a Mega Steelix, he has a Primarina, and he has a Gliscor. So, the Latios might not be packing HP Fire, but a Calm Mind Latios definitely messes with this team. Once you get rid of Caesar, and r0ady has a fair amount of answers to Caesar, as I just stated. Once you get rid of Caesar, a Calm Mind Latios is a big threat to this guy's team, so he has to watch out for that. And Chestnut, well, Slackberry, I'm not sure how fast a +1 Chestnut is. Obviously, it would outspeed the rest of his team, barring that Infernape, because that looks like a Scarf Infernape on r0ady's team if the Latios isn't. If the Infernape is offensive with Life Orb, that's also a huge threat. As a matter of fact, Grass Knot, Life Orb, Close Combat Infernape pretty much just tears through Lavos' team almost by itself once you get rid of the imposing Infernape, which isn't hard because he has a Latios, he has a Conqueror with priority, and he has a Gliscor. So really, I think this one's in r0ady's hands. It really depends on what the Latios and the Infernape are running, but what one lacks, the other will make up for. So let's see how this goes. r0ady's going to lead with Primarina. Lavos is going to lead with Infernape. It is indeed Choice Scarf as he busted out the U-turn on it. He goes to Blissey, takes the Moonblast to the face. I'm pretty sure this is a modest Primarina, so that's something to look out for. r0ady's going to go to his Gliscor. He's going to threaten this Blissey. And Lavos is going to switch in his Swampert. But the Swampert gets hit with a Toxic from the Gliscor. I didn't even see that coming, so that's a very nice, creative thing here. Latias is going to go for most likely Defog. He's going for the Calm Mind. He's going for the Calm Mind on the Scizor, but he has to switch out. So he is indeed not HP Fire. Okay. The Scizor goes for a U-turn. Does next to nothing to Mega Steelix, so that might be like a bulky Swords Dance Scizor. Steelix isn't going to want to deal with a Mega Swampert even while it's poisoned. So he's going to go to his Latias, take this Waterfall to the face. Kind of hurts, but he's going to double switch, go back out into his Primarina, predicting him to go to his Scizor. Catches him with the prediction, goes for the Hydro Pump. I don't know why in the world Lavos kept his Scizor in, but that might have just sealed the deal for Latias to sweep later if this has recovery. So the Vincoon is setting up here. He's going to set up a substitute. Latias is going to go for the Calm Mind. Vincoon is not going to win this one-on-one. I don't even know why he's going to bother to try. But he's going to Calm Mind here. Latias is going to Side Shock, break the Suicune substitute. It's going to get hit with a Scald to the face. No burn, unfortunately, for the Suicune. Latias going for a Side Shock. Gets a very fortunate critical hit here. Takes another Scald to the face. No burns. It's not looking good for Suicune. Not looking good. Suicune gets put down very easily by a Side Shock. Latias has to switch out, deal with the Infernape. Primarina comes in. He's going to Flare Blitz, however, because it is offensive Primarina, it is not going to take this Flare Blitz too well. However, r0ady still has ways of dealing with this. So he goes to his own Infernape, and nothing looks like he wants to take a close combat to the face. Indeed, nothing does. That Swampert gets hit with a critical hit, not that it mattered because it was 2-hit KO by close combat anyway. r0ady's going to switch out the Infernape as Chestnut comes in on it. He's going to Drain Punch. Does a decent bit to this Mega Steelix, but obviously not enough. The Steelix gets hit with a Leech Seed, so it looks like it's not Belly Drum Chestnut, but just standard defensive Chestnut. But fair enough. That's not so bad then. He's going to Roar the Chestnut out as it brings in Infernape. Steelix is going to be sacrificed to this Infernape's Flare Blitz, and it's going to give r0ady a clean opportunity to bring in Gliscor, go for a Swords Dance most likely, and try to put this game under wraps. But, I'm sorry, he didn't do that. He actually just clicked Earthquake. So he clicks Earthquake on his Blissey. He goes for a Swords Dance. The Blissey sets up a Wish, tosses it up in the air. Who's going to catch it? None other than Chestnut, of course. So Chestnut gets hit with a Toxic. SD Toxic Gliscor, very strong Stall Breaker, very good set. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely got a matchup advantage against this team. However, r0ady is going to switch in Latias on this Chestnut. It's going to die to the Leech Seed. However, the Chestnut is Toxic. He has Infernape. All he has to do is click Flare Blitz or Close Combat a bunch of times, and that's pretty much going to be all she wrote. He clicks Flare Blitz. It kills Blissey. Suicidal amount of recoil. Damages the Infernape. Lavos is going to go to his own Infernape to revenge kill, but he loses the Speed Tie. r0ady gets the Speed Tie and a critical hit. Not that it mattered, because he still had the healthy Conqueror just chilling in the back, waiting to punch up the rest of what Lavos' team had. Not to mention, he also had a Gliscor that was willing to do almost the same thing. So, yeah, r0ady manages to take that one pretty easily. Good game, congratulations for moving on to round 2. And that's about all I had to say. It was a pretty nice series all around. r0ady had won a couple Speed Ties. The only Speed Tie that really mattered heavily was the one on turn 1 in game 1 with the Scizor versus the Crawdon, because like I said, Adamant Max Speed Scizor, Jolly Crawdon hit the same speed. So that was a pretty big one, but that was the only one that was really crucial. But that's all I'll say for now. So thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, favorite, and stay tuned for the next episode of this tournament. Peace.